Hello, my friend. My name is Ayava, and welcome to the New Human Identity podcast. It's been a few years since I've been dreaming of starting this project, and I truly feel like this is the perfect moment to begin. Because the conversations we are about to have on this show about who we are, how we adapt, and how we find meaning in uncertain times never felt more essential. Right now, we are in the most disruptive chapter in human history. The world is transforming faster than ever before. Within just next few years, the world that we know will literally disappear. Everything is going to look very differently. We're facing some of the greatest challenges ever, from AI disruption to climate change to rising inequality and social polarization. Our minds and bodies were never built for this pace of change. So no wonder many people feel stuck, lost, scared, disconnected, lonely, searching for meaning in a system that no longer makes sense. In this changing reality, all of us need to face a question. Who am I becoming when everything I know is shifting? In this very first episode, I want to share my personal story of how I found hope. And it wasn't by fixing myself or trying harder, but by realizing that the way we feel is not our weakness or failure. It is the result of living in a system of separation. And I want to talk about how we can find light, even when everything around us seems dark. You have cancer. I was just told over the phone. I was standing in the middle of the living room in complete shock and disbelief. My partner walked in and he looked at me. I didn't even have to say anything. He immediately knew, just looking at my face. We've been waiting for those results for 3 weeks. I started feeling like my body began to shake. And I started feeling like my heart was going faster, my breath was going faster, and my partner came to me, he grabbed me, he looked me in the eyes, and he said, "Breathe, we're going through this together." We immediately decided we need to leave the house, get some fresh air, go to nature. So we walked to our refuge in East London, which is Hackney Marshes. And as we were walking, I felt the wind on my face, reminding me that I'm still here. The chaos of thoughts was spinning in my head like crazy. And one thought was just going after another one with this one question that was louder than anything else. Why me? And as we were walking, I started feeling this kind of familiar heat in my body. And it was going all the way from my toes, through my entire body to the top of my head. And it was this heat of anger. I got so pissed off. And I stopped and screamed, "I'm going to fight it." You know, this kind of feeling when you feel like you turn into warrior and you need to go on the battle. That's how I felt. I'm going to fight it. But the moment I said those words, something really strange happened. Very, very confusing. It's kind of like those words didn't settle in with my body, like my body was rejecting it. And this inner voice came and said, "This is not time for war." I was very, very confused. Not time for war, then what? I'm like dealing with cancer here. And this inner voice kept on speaking. And it said, what if cancer didn't come to kill me? What if it came to heal me? What if it came to be understood? I literally didn't know what to do about this. I knew one thing for certain: I'm gonna listen to my intuition and I'm not gonna go on the battlefield because it just didn't feel right. But I had no idea what to do apart from trying to understand. And in order to understand, I had to learn as much as possible about what cancer actually is. So I became a student of cancer. I was reading day and night what I was dealing with. And I remember this one morning, I was sitting outside the house on the bench. It was a nice summer morning. I was drinking a coffee and reading, and this is what I've learned. Cancer was not some invader from the outside. It wasn't a virus, it wasn't bacteria. It was my own cell. It was the loneliest, weakest cell in my entire body. So isolated that it forgot that it belongs to the whole organism. The cancer cell was so damaged that it couldn't repair itself like healthy cells do. It couldn't communicate with healthy cells around. It fought is just by its own. Lonely and scared, believing that the only way to survive was to multiply. So the cells started undergoing cell division very quickly, with each division passing on the damaged genetic information. Cancer is the weakest, loneliest cell in the body. It's in the process of self-destruction and the destruction of its environment. The end result always will be the death of cancer, either by external elimination or by destroying its own environment. I found it so sad. Tears started coming to my eyes, and I started feeling emotion that I would have never imagined feeling in this situation, which was empathy for cancer. And I felt that sadness because I understood how it felt, because I saw myself in it, because in the past I felt like that cancer cell. Most of my life I felt exactly like that cancer cell. I really couldn't connect to the world around me. I felt that disconnection and isolation, and I never could put my finger on it because it made no sense to me. I'm an extrovert and I've been always around people. I could be in a big room talking to everyone and laughing and exchanging contacts, but yet there was something I just couldn't understand. This feeling of emptiness, that feeling of loneliness. And I was really looking for help for this void of loneliness. And doctors were giving me all sorts of names and prescriptions and drugs, but nothing was touching even closely the root cause of the problem. I was drifting through life like a smoke, visible but unable to be held. And I was managing just about to go through everything. But when pandemic hit, I couldn't pretend anymore. When pandemic started, I felt so extremely lonely and isolated that it became physically painful. I remember lying on the floor, shaking, crying, and thinking I'm literally by myself in this world. There is no one to help me, no one to understand me. And I was so scared of the future. I was so scared of the present that I didn't have any strength to keep on going. I had a mental breakdown. And it was the scariest time of my life because I just didn't want to live anymore, because life itself became so difficult and so overwhelming that I didn't feel like I have energy and strength to carry on. But there was this tiny, really, really, really tiny flame of hope in me. Really small, but enough to grab it. And I grabbed that flame of hope, and I promised myself that I will take control over my mind. And I will never, ever lose my mind again. But there was one thing I knew for sure, that I could not do this alone. I needed people. Humans evolved in close-knit communities for a reason. We were never meant to go through life like that alone. So I started looking for my tribe. I started looking for people who could understand how I felt, who perhaps felt the same way, who wanted to share this path with me. And I started finding those people. I started finding this tribe. And incredible things started happening. As we were walking together through life, holding each other's hands, we've been wandering through the forest, we were singing, we were sitting around the fire, we were dancing, we were sitting in circles, we were crying, we were going through pain and grief. And as we were going through that journey, something really incredible started happening. It felt as the veil of darkness started being lifted, and I started feeling joy in a way I never did before. I started feeling like I understand what the life is about. I started feeling much lighter, much happier. And after a couple of years of that journey, I really felt like a brand new person. And I didn't feel like that because I was fixed or repaired or anything like that. It's because I was connected. So when I got my cancer diagnosis, I had two things I didn't have before. I had a strong mind and I had a community. And I will be honest, I could not ask for more support that I've got. So many people showed up for me. It was incredible and I'm so grateful for it. But despite of that, healing was excruciatingly painful. And I realized that the reason for that is because the world around me is sick. And what I've been seeing in the world is that disconnection that I used to feel being everywhere. And we as people, so many of us, feel like those cancer cells. We forgot that we belong to each other. We forgot that we belong to the whole. As I was going through my treatment, I kept on thinking, why are we so separated? What is going on? What is the root cause of feeling like that? And I realized that the reason why we feel so lonely, the reason why we feel disconnected, is because we live in the system of separation. From the moment we are born, we inherit labels and stories that are given to us. We don't even question them. And they are shaped by history and politics, like gender, race, nationality, religion, class, and more. These identities, they kind of give us some sense of belonging, but ultimately, they really divide us, reinforcing separation instead of connection. Let's consider the larger forces that are shaping the world we're living in right now. Firstly, colonialism, that divided people into conquerors and conquered, introducing the legacy of racism that still affects how we see each other today. We have patriarchy, which established a hierarchy of genders, telling us men are this, women are that, and setting up power imbalances and mistrust. Capitalism, especially in the current form, often values profit over people, reducing our worth to productivity and pitting us in a race all against each other. We have nationalism that draws a line of compassion around borders. Citizens here, refugees there. We've got religions that have been created in a way that say our believers will find salvation. Others are infidels. And the list of those ideologies goes on and on and on. But the pattern is always the same. Us versus them. And all those ideologies, institutions, religions, they all rely on the same tool of control. Our fear. And these forces are not just history. They are forces that penetrate our subconscious. We grow absorbing those ideas of who we should be and who is other. We start believing that what is expected from us, how others see us, is who we truly are. And we as humans, we have a strong need of belonging. So in order to fit, we start believing that we need to put the mask on. The mask that is going to hide our true self and allow us to fit in that script written for us. We wear these masks to fit those roles. And the longer we go through life wearing those masks, the more disconnected we become from ourselves and from others. We start shrink and we lose confidence because we constantly cannot meet the standards that we're supposed to meet, but it's impossible to meet them because they are not for us. So we start believing more and more that we are not good enough. We become harsh to ourselves. We self-judge ourselves. We criticize ourselves. We build unhealthy relationships. We are scared. And the more we are disconnecting from ourselves, the harder it becomes to connect to others. So if I was taught to define myself how different I am from you, then the wall stands between us. Even if we coexist, there is a barrier. I am me, you are other. And our culture idealizes hyper-individualism. The self-made person, the independence, completely neglecting our interdependence. So no wonder that our society just keeps polarizing. Us versus them has been ingrained in us for a very, very long time. If culture taught us to feel separate, maybe we can unlearn that. Maybe we could remember a more fundamental truth that has been lost. I was sitting in the chemo ward, watching the red drug going through my veins. And I closed my eyes and pictured a healthy body, healthy human body, where trillions of diverse cells are working together in harmony, because they know they belong to one organism. And I started wondering, what if our society worked that way? Right now it doesn't. Humanity often behaves like a body attacking itself, disconnected, inflamed, forgetting that we are part of one system. It's almost like humanity got a collective autoimmune disease or kind of cancer. We just keep on attacking ourselves and each other. And I kept on thinking, if we built a society that truly supported every human body, would so many of us get sick at all? Would healing become a shared experience instead of solitary fight? I open my eyes and I look around the world. Other patients sitting and with their drips and their hopes, navigating their own healing journey. And looking at them, I saw myself. So I kept on dreaming of a new human identity, one that is relational, not divisive. One that says, before I am any label, woman or man, black or white, rich or poor, this nation or that nation, I am human. and so are you. And it doesn't erase our differences or histories. It just means that beneath them we share a common heartbeat. We're all connected. So if the culture taught us separation, maybe we can unlearn that. Maybe we can remember a forgotten truth of who we really are. In my own life, this shift in perspective changed absolutely everything. I began practicing relational living, and I tried to see myself in every other person. And the more I embrace this mindset, the more I notice others are longing for the same reconnection. So why am I even talking about this? Why is it so important that we change the way we see ourselves and others? Well, the reason for that is because right now we are in the most disruptive chapter of human history. We are going through the paradigm shift, and the ground beneath us is completely shaking. The world that we know is disappearing right now as we speak, and the new world is being born, and it really is up to us how we're gonna shape it. In the next few years, everything is going to be really, really different. Not in decades, in years. And we are facing some seriously huge challenges that will affect everyone, no matter where we live, what we do, what's our background, what is our belief system, what is our wealth. Everyone will be affected in one way or another because everything is interconnected. And the challenges we're facing are pretty damn serious. The first one, the biggest one, actually the most urgent one that we have right now is the disruption of AI that is causing an actual threat to our existence. And it's not a sci-fi. This is the reality that we need to be very aware of. We have climate change that is not just going to affect us through droughts, wildfires, floods, or rising sea levels. It will make many places simply uninhabitable. Hundreds of millions of people will need to leave their land. Where are they going to go? We have rising inequality. The inequality is so vast. It's kind of even hard to explain it. But imagine that when few people are flying to space for fun, 1 in 4 people don't have access to drinking water. This is society's breaking point. We have crumbling social and political systems that are trying to solve all those 21st century problems with a 19th century mentality. And it really feels like the world is collapsing under its own weight of problems. We need to be aware of the fact that we are right now facing the biggest threat to humanity in the history. But in this moment, we also are facing the greatest opportunity, the one that we never ever had before. Because, as I mentioned, the new world is being born, and it's really up to us how we're going to shape it. Are we going to create a world of connection where our well-being is the most important factor? But here is the thing, if we want to contribute in shaping this world to become a place we actually want to live in, we really need to change how we see ourselves and others. We need to really let go of us versus them on the cellular level. And this is not some naive utopia or it's ignoring injustice. This is our survival strategy. Because the problems are so huge that they cannot be solved by individuals. They can only be solved by groups of people that come with different minds, with different backgrounds, with different perspectives, with different wisdom, with different knowledge. And that way we can start finding answers that we are looking for. Otherwise, it's all too overwhelming. And that journey really starts from reinventing ourselves. And when I'm talking about reinventing ourselves, I don't mean becoming someone else. I mean coming back home to ourselves, coming back to who we really are. It's taking off those masks that were given to us, that we've been wearing all our lives, pretending something that we are not. It's really tapping into our power. It's breaking the cycles of burnout, overthinking, regretting, and worrying. It's learning to be present, to really be aware of our experience, what is happening inside us and around us. We need to make friends with our minds. We need to understand how our minds are working. We need to learn how to use our most powerful tool we have to work for us, not against us, to help us and support us, not sabotage us. And we need to embrace our uniqueness, because once we understand how our minds work, what we are really good at, what are our strengths, we can find purpose because we know what is going to drive us. We know what we're good at. We know what we can contribute with. And that's where our human power comes, our diversity. When we start collaborating, we're going to start solving those problems that right now seem to so overwhelming that they are crushing us individually and as a whole. These huge, huge global problems we have, they can't be solved alone. We can only do it through working together. After a year of my cancer treatment, after my last radiotherapy, I walked out of the hospital and I looked at the blue sky. I was bored, I was exhausted, but I felt at peace that I've never felt before. And I took a deep breath, I put hands on my chest, and I whispered to myself, "Thank you, cancer, for healing me." And now here I am with you, sharing my dream of a new human identity. This is not another label. We do not need more labels. We just need to peel off all those limiting beliefs, all those old stories that were given to us, that we believed in them, of inherited identities that were given to us and we were carrying them unconsciously, believing that that's who we are. New human identity is a practice of becoming ourselves. It is a practice of unlearning all the lies that we've been given and learning ourselves again. And there are few core principles that guide this new way of thinking and living. It's remembering that we are not our stories. It's remembering that we are deeply connected. It's practicing empathy and compassion, choosing collaboration over competition, choosing love over fear, carrying responsibility for ourselves and each other, nurturing our creativity. And last but not least, new human identity is practicing humility. It's knowing that we do not know and trying to learn as much as possible from each other, because every single human will have some knowledge that we can gain from them. Every single human being can teach us something we didn't know. And as we're gonna go through this journey together, learning from each other, we're gonna start seeing very different perspectives to every single topic. We're gonna learn that we had blind spots. We're gonna learn to think differently. We're gonna start expanding our horizons. We're gonna expand our consciousness, so we can finally remember who we truly are. Thank you so much for listening to this very first episode of the New Human Identity podcast. If this episode resonated with you, I'd really love to hear from you. You can subscribe to this podcast, and if you enjoyed the content, then please leave the review. And if you feel this episode could help someone else, please share it with them. Thank you for being here.